Getting to meet people who do good around our community is one of my most favorite parts about Great Day Live. Back before COVID hit, I had the opportunity to sit down with a local group that's dedicated to helping the community in myriad ways. Take a look at one of our favorite segments with United Healthcare.
Right now, throughout America, we're seeing a true epidemic of drug addiction. The rate of deaths by overdose have risen nearly 6 times since 1999, with 130 people dying in the United States every single day from overdose. Louisville and surrounding areas have most definitely felt the impact, and one local group has stepped up to help those struggling to recover, specifically with mothers and their children. Amy Johnston is here from United Healthcare, and she's going to talk about supporting local women in recovery, especially through Volunteers of America. Amy, welcome back to you.
Thank you.
Why has United Healthcare embraced this initiative wholeheartedly? I mean, you and your team members have been on the show repeatedly and especially in 2019.
We have, and it's been wonderful. Thank you for having us and your support as well. One of the things that is the mission of United Healthcare is to help people live healthier lives. And we've recognized that there is an opioid epidemic out there, and not just in Kentucky, but across the country. So it's something that we as an organization have worked really hard and committed to address in all of the markets that we serve, including Kentucky, which is one of the hardest hit.
Why, in particular, Volunteers of America and the way in which they're treating women in recovery and pregnant women, women with young children? Why that organization? I mean, because I feel like United Healthcare has wrapped your arms around this.
We have. Personally for me, I started my career as a drug and alcohol counselor. So it's a mission that I'm very passionate about. And as an organization, we have actually partnered with them in Kentucky and across the country. They do amazing work. There's the Manchester House, which we're supporting. It's their newest recovery home for women, and it allows women a safe place to go. They receive group treatment, so they can bring their kids. It's one of the only places that women can bring their children and have a place where they can live with their families and also receive group counseling and support at the same time.
What are you seeing when you have women who are going through recovery and you include their children? That success rate, is it better?
Oh, absolutely. And it alleviates some of the stress, right? Because they want their children with them. They want to be able to provide for their children in a safe environment. And they also have mentoring from the other women that are in the house. So they're able to go, they're able to have support from a community. Their children can interact, and they alleviate that aspect of anxiety, and they're able to focus on their recovery better.
I think it's important to note for our viewers at Volunteers of America Mid-States, I mean, serves thousands and thousands of people throughout, Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky, but also over in Indiana and Clark and Floyd counties. I mean, so the reach is massive.
Oh, it is. It is. They're an amazing agency. They also offer support to people coming out of prison and the institutions. They have drug rehab programs, help them get jobs and get reintegrated into the community. I had the privilege of attending their breakfast a couple of months ago, and one of the success stories was a young man who was released, and they helped pay his electric bill to get him started in his home, and he was able to get his family reconnected. It's really an amazing mission that they have.
It definitely has, and I remember back in, I guess it was the latter part of 2019, that one of the things they were really excited about was the number of healthy babies born. I think they had hit the number 200, which is meaningful.
It is. It is. It's amazing that, you know, the women that have gone into the program not only have had healthy pregnancies, but babies that are born without addiction. So they've had and celebrated, you know, over 200 births now, and it's just an amazing accomplishment for their organization.
Well, as always, thank you, and thanks to you and United Healthcare for what you're doing for our greater community, because it's making a difference for sure.
Thank you.
This segment has been sponsored by United Healthcare. To learn more about Freedom House and their services for women struggling with addiction, go to voamid.org for more information, and you can find out about all of United Healthcare and the work they're doing in the community at uhc.com. We're coming